you, Dr. Khalid Al-Hassan, Professor محمد الحقباني, and Dr. Ghazi Al-Ataibi. And I will also would like to welcome all those who are joining us in this session. The title of the study is Using Wikis in EFL Writing Courses, Quasi-Experimental Study of Saudi Female University Students. We all know that writing is considered as an important skill for both EFL teachers and students, so it needs extensive effort and hard work in teaching and learning it. But with the existence of online learning and computer-mediated communication, EFL learning have got great opportunities to learn and become engaged in various environments using both live and asynchronous interaction. Therefore, EFL teachers should create online technology in the learning environment in order to help EFL learners develop their skills in the learning process. When computer-mediated communication and writing courses are integrated, and only if accompanied by appropriate pedagogy by EFL teachers, we may expect the successful accomplishment of learning objectives in EFL writing courses. Wikis, as an example, have become to be popular as a social learning tool worldwide because it provides users with collaborative workspaces that enhance engagement and interactivity. Therefore, implementing wikis in EFL classrooms can be an excellent opportunity to make the process wherein classmates assist, interact, and learning by collaborating with others rather than struggling alone. The study examines the effect of using wikis on Saudi female undergraduate students' writing skills and their attitudes toward wikis as a language learning environment. The study aims to achieve the following goals. Number one, to investigate the effectiveness of using wikis on Saudi female undergraduate students' essay writing skills at Imam Muhammad bin Saud Islamic University in Riyadh, to demonstrate the usefulness and applicability of implementing social software such as Wikis in the Saudi EFL classroom at the university level. Also to find out if there is a significant difference in developing essay writing skills between the experimental group and the control group. Also to determine the attitudes of Saudi EFL female students toward Wikis as a language learning environment. This study is based on 3 research questions. Number one, how does the use of wikis as a language learning environment affect the performance of Saudi female EFL students in undergraduate L2 writing courses? Question number 2, is there a significant difference between experimental wiki and control groups concerning writing accuracy and quality? Question number 3 is, what are the attitudes of Saudi female EFL students toward wikis as a language learning environment? This study introduces a non-traditional approach for teaching and learning essay writing in Saudi universities by integrating social learning software such as wikis. It also tries to offer an effective solution for the noticeable low-level essay writing performance in Saudi EFL female university students. The study also hopefully will supply EFL teachers and learners with valuable information concerning technology's influence on classroom environments and the quality of students' work. The study is based on constructivism and social constructivism, computer-mediated communication, collaborative learning, where it fosters learning by encouraging interaction and motivation through the use of social software tools for learning, such as Wikis. Research methodology. The design of the study is quasi-experimental. The setting of the study was in the College of Languages and Translation, King Abdullah Girls Campus, at Imam محمد bin Saud Islamic University in Riyadh. Data collection procedures took place in the Department of English Languages and Literature. The study targeted fourth-level learners enrolled in the essay writing course during the academic year 2017. Participants were 60 fourth-level female learners, and they were divided into two sections. Section 441, which was the control group, consisted of 30 students, and section 444, the experimental group, which consisted also of 30 students. Data instruments used in this study was pre and post test, questionnaire, interviews. Data analysis applied in the study for quantitative data was SPSS. Wikispaces.com was used as the wiki platform for the study. Concerning the results, the first question, how does the use of wikis as a language learning environment affect the performance of Saudi female EFL students in undergraduate L2 writing courses? The result was that using a paired sample t-test, the results of the pre and post tests, mean scores of the experimental group overall performance in essay writing showed a highly significant difference, the p-value being 0.1. For question number 2, is there a significant difference between experimental wiki and control groups concerning writing accuracy and quality? Here we used independent sample t-test comparing accuracy and quality. For the pre-test scores for writing accuracy, the results indicated there is no significant difference between the results of the two groups. For the pre-test scores of writing quality indicated that there is no significant difference between the groups. The post-test scores of writing accuracy indicated a significant difference between the two groups. The post-test scores of writing quality indicated a highly significant difference between the experimental and control groups. For question number 3, what are the attitudes of Saudi female EFL students toward wikis as a language learning environment? Quantitative and qualitative data collected from the experimental group, which is questionnaire and semi-structured interviews. Generally, the results indicated that Saudi female EFL students had a positive and encouraging attitude toward wikis as a language learning environment. The conclusion of this study is it has successfully proved that wikis could provide a good chance for EFL learners to contribute, participate, and share their writing experience. Participants in the study had a positive attitude toward using wikis in their EFL writing classes. They also were able to develop their essay writing skills by assisting each other in organizing, composing, revising content, and form in their essays to achieve high quality writings. Thank you for listening, and that's all for me. I'm looking forward to hear your comments.
Thank you, Hanan. And that's not going to be all for you. We're going to have to listen from our participants in the discussion today. And we start with the guest from outside the college, Dr. Ghazi Lataibi. The floor is yours. Dr. Ghazi?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to work on this committee. And I'm happy to be part of it, given this nicely designed and nicely written thesis. I think you, Hanan, mashallah, you did a great job in synthesizing literature that covered the various areas related to this topic. I have a couple of comments, and of course these comments are not intended to belittle the efforts that have been exerted in bringing about this thesis under the supervision of Dr. Khalid. All right, so I'm gonna say my comments here one by one, going to page 11 first. Some of these comments, by the way, I think I have a lot of comments that I will not mention here, and I will send them to the supervisor directly, just to save your time. So on page 11, the second paragraph, the one that starts with the researchers took it from a broader sense. Towards the end of the paragraph, you listed here, learning is a self-directed process. Do you see that?
Yes, I see.
Great. Now, given the findings in your study and some of the drawbacks that you discovered using wikis, such as, for example, some students over-dependence on others and not contributing enough, which caused frustration to other participants. So what do you think of incorporating learner autonomy while you're using wikis? Do you think this might overcome this drawback and help to mitigate it, maybe?
Since wikis motivates collaboration, and collaboration motivates learner autonomy, I think that having a disadvantage at the end of the study that some students were frustrated is because of the experience of students in that study. But at the end, they should self-direct themselves or scaffold other students according to the theoretical framework used in this study.
Good, good. But there is no explicit direction from either the instructor or the supervisor of the sessions to that effect. Maybe not.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it's related only to the experience of that student. But at the end, wikis really motivates self-directed learning.
Great. Yeah, this might be possible, I believe, and you may agree with me, given the different levels of students or participants. Maybe the higher level participants might have this kind of self-directed learning more than the ones at the lower levels.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let me move on to another point, and on my way, I'm going to stop on page 15 just to a minor thing, but I think we need to take care of it, which is also in paragraph 2. At the end of paragraph 2, it appears first between people as an intermental category, and then within the learner as an intermental category. I think you meant to say or to write intramental here, right?
I don't know really. It depends on the quotation. Since it's a quotation, I have to go back and check it.
Yeah, definitely. Since the first one is between learners, it's going to be intermental. The second is within the learner himself, so it's intramental, I believe.
Okay.
All right, no problem. The next one, please. Page 17. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Okay. On which paragraph? The section that says here, the point, active engagement in learning. You have an acronym here, FL methodology, but to my knowledge, I didn't see an explanation of what this stands for in your thesis.
Yeah, foreign language. Also, there's a word missing, I realized last night, foreign language pedagogy. So FL should be written as foreign language instead of having the acronym here.
Towards the top of the same page, so it can be said that collaborating and using instructions along with imitating others are necessary steps in the developmental process for learners. And here you're referring to Wikis. Do you think if we have a traditional classroom where collaborating and imitating others are implemented, do you think you may have a similar result, maybe?
Similar results of what exactly?
Of collaboration and motivation and all of that you discovered in your study. Or maybe the Wikis is absolutely at an advantage compared to traditional classrooms, even if you incorporate or design the classroom curriculum to incorporate these issues like using instructions and imitating others and all of these mentioned in the paragraph. I believe this is your synthesis of research here.
Yeah. What I saw in the study is that there were groups imitating other groups.
Okay. In Wikis, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, my point was, how about if this happens in a traditional classroom? Do you think it might happen? The imitation and...
Yes, it does, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Students imitate samples of essays, maybe. They imitate their colleagues' writings. They imitate their teachers.
Okay, good. I have one here, but I'm gonna move on. A minor thing. On page 59 in your research design,
Okay.
the second paragraph, you wrote here, the experimental group comprised of 30 participants divided into 4 to 5 groups.
Students, I meant.
You meant 4 to 5 students?
Yeah, there were 5 groups. Each group contained 4 to 5 students.
Okay. Yeah, this just confused me because I thought that probably this could happen sometimes when someone go back to the proposal and try to include it in the final thesis, but forget to modify it. The same page, it's just my personal opinion. I don't think referring to names here, you know, is strong in case of in your case here. For example, the last paragraph, the survey questionnaire was given in the Department of English Language and Literature after the researcher was permitted by the Dean of the College of Languages, and you listed the name here. With all due respect, what purpose does this have? I was thinking of adding something like, for example, the survey question was given for the purpose of securing the needed permission, for example, from the department, without having to list personal names, which may change over time.
Okay.
Don't you agree with me?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Page 62, Hanan.
Okay.
The top of the page, the first paragraph, as is clear from the pie chart, 43%, etc. And then he said 27% had 4 to 6 years experience, which is good. What does that mean? On what basis do you think it is good?
I think using English. This is for using English. Yes, their language level.
Sorry, their language level?
Yeah, the language level. Because the first pie chart is for using English. The second one is for using Wikis. So here I meant the level of language they had, the experience they had.
The level is good, you mean?
Yeah, the level of language.
Okay. Okay, I can pass that. Let me move on to page 81. And this has to do with your research design. Let me clarify this. Maybe I just did not get it when reading your thesis. With regard to timing of administering the questionnaire and conducting the interviews, did the interview or the interviews follow the administration of questionnaire?
According to the timeline, just a minute. The interviews were all along the study. So some groups were interviewed after, and some groups were interviewed before taking the questionnaire.
I see. I thought that this is a nicely designed study, as I said earlier. And I thought that it is following this sequential explanatory design, which you start with the quantitative part, and then you follow it with interviews in order to enrich the findings that you discovered in the quantitative one. But I did not see in your study a link between your findings in the quantitative part and your findings in the interviews, discussing the results and the individual questions, and linking these to the themes that emerged from your interview data. I think it would have been very beneficial, and it will show the use of the triangulation thing that you did. So I believe if you did a link between the findings of your interviews to some items in the questionnaire, it would have given your study a stronger push. It's still a great study, but I think this would have been a great addition to it.
Actually, Doctor, I have did that, and I have connected the three instruments. They are on page 98 and 99, where some results are linked together, and some previous studies also mentioned. I have put them here. So really, I worked on that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see the previous studies, but maybe I just probably overlooked the link between the interviews and the questionnaires per se. Okay. Dr. Khalid, please stop me if you think that I have passed my time limit. I have one more.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Take your time.
Thank you. Okay, on page 107,
Yes.
Number 3, the participants who were also language learners trying to learn writing and experiencing the intervention can provide crucial suggestions for implementing collaborative writing tasks in their curriculum. Of course, you acknowledge that Wiki Spaces, the platform which you use to collect your data, has stopped, right?
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't exist anymore. So based on your experience and the findings from the students' input, you know, what characteristics do you think should be incorporated in any future wiki type platform to ensure that these benefits are secured or even more? What do you think?
I think concerning essay writing, as far as I'm concerned here, is that the platform must contain editing features, collaborating also features, discussions, commenting, a platform that really helps learners to come together and work on this, their work that they are focusing on.
Great, good. One last thing, to my knowledge, you have a survey on page 137, which you call pre-task questionnaire survey.
Yes.
Which you have to get to the end. Personally, I didn't see any reference to this survey in the methodology chapter. Did you include it?
Yes, Doctor, I did. If the pie charts that you just mentioned are related to this survey, but this survey is not important to the study, but important to me as a researcher to understand the background that the students have concerning the language, concerning Wiki's experience. So I needed to understand where are they exactly.
Yeah, I see, and I understand what you're saying, but I believe adding it would be necessary, and it will help you to interpret the findings that you discovered in your interviews and questionnaires, and link it to what the students shared with you. This is a suggestion.
Doctor, the results of this questionnaire are added, but are not included in the analysis, just for the background of the students.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I
remember.
The percentages and the level of language and experience with Wikis, they're all added in the study.
Very nice. I think this is a great study. despite these minor comments that I have just shared with you. And thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Khalid, and thank you, Ms. Hanan. Shukran.
Thank you, Dr. Ghazi.
Thank you, Doctor. And we move on to save the time for Dr. Muhammad, who asked me to expedite things. So the floor is yours without further ado.
Hello, do you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Dr. Muhammad.
Okay. Greeting you, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to participate in this committee. In fact, I have different comments, and these comments, I think they need to be highlighted so our audience, especially the students, can benefit from them. I would like to start with my general comments. First of all, let me ask you a question. What research style did you use?
What do you mean by research
I
style,
mean the
Doctor?
manual style. Did you use APA or Michigan or Harvard?
Yes, APA.
APA. Do you think that you used it correctly?
I believe so.
So listen to me. I don't think so. Now, for example, if you look at the APA, we usually use the simple past tense when we report actions in the past. And in your literature review, if you just divide it into two parts, you will find in your first part you started reporting your studies or literature in the simple present tense, and then the second part, which has dealt with writing as a skill, you used the simple past tense. According to the APA, you should use the simple past tense because we are reporting actions that happened. For example, Al-Hukbani 2009, we said studied or examined. You don't use the simple present tense. So if you look at page 5, your work is abundant with this fluctuation in the usage of tenses, which is in fact affects the eyes of your readers. So look at page 5.
Yes.
Just to give you example. Can you read one of the examples here? For example, okay.
Okay, as Al-Hazmi and Schofield,
yeah,
2007,
yes.
indicate.
For example, indicate is trying. Different example, even in the first pages. Also, when you report the page number, this is not APA style at all. You used to put the page number in a bracket. Usually say when you use it, for example, in parentheses, 2009, comma, page, and then you put the number. You use brackets. The brackets within parentheses. This is not APA at all. So please don't tell me that you used APA style. You never used it correctly in your manuscript. The second comment from my general remarks, sometimes also use the future tense. For example, you say the pilot study will be dealt with. Now we are talking about something in the past. We never talk about the future. So please use the simple past tense. You have some problems with your writing. And this is astonishing because you teach writing. For example, if you look at, I have zero tolerance when it comes to writing. And we commit such mistakes. Because they are, if we are students, then it is okay. But if we are instructors, then this is not accepted at all. So look at this one. What are Saudi female, EFL female? This is not an English. For example, in the methodology, you use, for example, the verb examine. Examine is a transitive verb. It is not intransitive. Then you said examine and tend to analyze. This is in the first page of the research methodology. This is stylistic problem. When you start with using transitive verbs, then it should be followed directly by the object, its object. So this is kind of a fluctuation. Also, in your abstract, you said a quasi-experimental design was adapted from a previous study. What is this study? You need to mention this study. Your readers do not have superpowers to figure out what you mean by these statements. A researcher should be clear in his usage of the language, and he should, for example, explain. If it is ambiguous, if his statements are ambiguous, then he should spell it out, should clarify it, because the audience or the readers need something that can be understandable, not to ask a third party to explain it to them. So if you said a previous study, what is this a previous study? So this is stylistic problem, by the way, in our writing.
Doctor, actually, this really I realized last night. This is a mistake. It was not adapted from a previous study. It was adapted in the study. I meant a quasi-experimental design was adapted in the study. I don't know why I wrote previous study.
Now you clarified it, and this is good. But please, when your manuscript is published, you will not be available to explain such mistakes or errors to your audience. So be clear, please. Okay. Also, I have a general remark, and this is also not to you. This is to our college and to the graduate school of, the School of Graduate Studies. Can you explain why your dissertation, doctoral dissertation, is just 109 pages if we exclude the references list and the appendices? You know, a whole dissertation, just 109 pages, doctoral dissertation. In the United States, this is not accepted at all. Especially in in humanities and social sciences, it is not accepted. It is accepted for mathematics, for hard sciences like mathematics and chemistry, computer science, but in our domain, 109 pages is not accepted at all. Someone may say, Dr. Hubbani, are you talking about the quantity? Yes, I'm talking about the quantity and the quality at the same time. Because when you use just 109 pages, that affected your literature review, it affected your discussion, and I will come later to it. 109 pages, it is nothing. It could be accepted for a master project or thesis. I hope the people from our college and the College of Graduate Studies hear me, because this should not continue to be accepted. A minimum of 200, 250 pages should be accepted, but less than that, it is a problem. Now I will go to the first chapter, which is by the way, I like so much your use of Piaget and Vygotsky theories, but I don't think they are in the right place. Now, we are talking about educational psychology. Now, when we talk about Piaget, we are talking about cognitive development. And when we talk about Vygotsky, the Russian scientist, we are talking about and how is it related to language acquisition. Now, this in the literature review, you divide it into two parts. The first one is introducing Piaget and Vygotsky work and how this could be used to teach writing. through the Wikis. And then in the second part, you introduce writing as a skill. And this is my problem here. And why I said it is not accepted, despite I like it so much. You know, if we have our students can bring different ideas, different theories from different areas, like educational psychology or psychology in general, this should be highly appreciated because we are trying to find solution. We are trying to integrate our knowledge by using different disciplines. But in my opinion, writing is an individual skill. And talking about cognitive development or knowledge as you describe it, and then talking about Vygotsky as a social interaction may help in acquiring or learning writing or how to write an essay, I cannot understand it. Would you please just highlight or explain how this could be happened? Because writing is the most difficult task, and it is a skill. And I believe that interaction, social interaction, or cognitive development is not part of this skill. Yes, contribute to the skill, but it is not everything. That is why I said using or introducing Piaget theory and Vygotsky theory is not accepted in your study. And you spent much time in your study talking about psychology and educational psychology, but I don't see any link between teaching or learning writing as a skill and how to relate it to psychology in general. Because Vygotsky and Piaget are known in educational psychology as the most contributor in the last century. And they, in fact, can be used in different contexts, but in writing as a skill, I doubt it, especially in your study. So how could you explain it?
According to using wikis in this study, collaboration is the social interaction that I have focused on. And by using wikis, there is social interaction. And social interaction is related to what Vygotsky said. Meaning is constructed through experience and having being social with others. And this is the link. And this is the basis, actually, of the study.
You are talking about learning in general. And writing is a skill, which is, and you mentioned this in your study. You said it is based, you mentioned some researchers who indicated that writing is a skill that is dependent on other skills, and which I agree with. But when we talk about Vygotsky, he in fact introduced his theory, social interaction. And we as language specialists, when we talk about language acquisition, we deal with social interaction just to explain that language is not an isolated entity that someone can learn it without being part of the society. So they are talking about learning in general, not in writing, and that was really astonishing for me when you try to relate the two theories to writing. It is good, you know. I always advocate such thinking and the critical thinking by trying to bring something outside our domain and try to capitalize on it. But I cannot see the point, because when we talk about Piaget, who is a psychologist, and he did his work on ducks and these things, and how their babies learn from their mother by following its steps. And just he was trying to say that language, learning in general, it is not only language, can be like habit formation. So we are talking about the behavioralism in particular. And also Vygotsky, oppose this point of view, he introduced social interaction, which has become very important in language acquisition and learning. And anyway, I don't like to spend much time on this point, but I don't find a strong link between these two well-known theories with what we are trying to do essay writing. In my opinion, essay writing is not a social interaction. It is not a knowledge, because you can be a good writer, but you don't have the knowledge. Abbas al-Aqad, he is a good writer, but he does not have knowledge in every domain type of knowledge, but he has the quality of being a good writer. So being a writer does not mean, a good writer does not mean that you should have knowledge in every area of specialty. So that's what I'm trying, that you spend much time on these significant theories, educational psychologist theories, but unfortunately, I don't see a clear link between them, or despite the fact I advocate that our students be very creative in their understanding. Anyway, I should go to another point. By the way, I will go immediately to the research methodology, because I'm not happy with it at all. Forgive me for being honest, but this is the reality, and I hope our students will learn. Our students who are in this session should learn from it and try to avoid it in the future. Now, let me ask you a question. If you start your methodology with the pilot study, what do you expect from your readers to understand?
That the instruments have been used and tested.
No. This is not the instruments. This will be my next question. If you start your methodology immediately by introducing something, and then you talk about the pilot study, then I cannot find something to base the pilot study on. Then I have to read and read and read until I come to why did you use the pilot study. The pilot study usually comes after you explain, you introduce your research methodology, design, your participants, your instruments, your data collection and analysis procedures, and then you give the pilot study because you would like to implement what you have trying to implement. But if you introduce your pilot study and then you expect us to digest it, to buy it, then I don't think anyone will buy it. With regard to myself, I don't think, because I didn't understand the pilot study. Why is it here? Why is it not at the end of your research methodology? So the right arrangements should start with the research design. What research design did you use? Then the participants, then the instruments, and then your data collection of procedures and analysis. So that makes sense for me. On page 58, you said, after introducing the pilot study, several modifications were made to the procedures. Now, what are these modifications? You know what, when I finish reading your dissertation, by the way, it is good. It is going to pass, there is no problem, but we are learning from what we are reading. When you said several modifications, it came to my mind that you are the mastermind of everything in your dissertations. And this is one of the problems that our students have. They do everything from the first page to the end, the last page. So what are the modifications? Do you think that Mr. Al-Hukbani will be capable of reading the future? You have to mention these modifications. Otherwise, rule it out. Don't mention it. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Just ignore it. Because if you say, made several modifications, anyone who is reading your manuscript will say, why? What are these modifications? I am eager to know these modifications. You spoke about English proficiency test given to your participant. What is it?
It's an essay writing.
Did it come from nowhere? Essay writing? Who made it?
Me, the teacher, and the researcher. Yes.
That is wrong. I mean, if the researcher research a problem and then teach the students, the participants, and they write his dissertations and try to convince us, then we are not convinced. Do you know why? Because if you are the researcher, then you have to have an assistant to do the study. Unfortunately, we don't have this culture in our society. I remember when I was at Boston University, I did it. You know, I hired one in Washington, D.C., a native speaker. I hired one in Boston to do the whole instruments, despite the fact I was capable of doing it. But just to give the credibility to my research findings. If I do everything, then what is left for the others to do? So you are the researchers, you are the examiners, you are the interviewer, you are everything in this manuscript. I hope this policy in our college should be changed in the future. And we have to use other tools, or I mean, we should hire different people to do what they are supposed to do. So you made the test. How reliable is this test? Reliability and validity is very important in research design. If we don't guarantee them before we start, then I don't think it is a good thing to follow. I mean, this is really a problem. Anyway, you said you designed the pre and post test. How did you do so?
According to the curriculum.
And you did it yourself?
Doctor, it's a type of essay that students have to write. It's not a question or it's not a test.
But how reliable is it? Did you just give, you said, well, write about Saudi Arabia, or just write about something? I mean, are there criteria that you followed?
Yeah,
Did
it's a compare.
Did you give it to other specialists to look at and then to evaluate it, or just you do it yourself?
It's a compare and contrast essay and opinion essay. The correcting of the essay was intra-rater, where I had checked it twice.
You checked it twice.
Yeah, intra-rater. And it depends merely on the curriculum that level 4 students have in their essay writing book. So they are given a topic and they have to write about it according to the skills they learn.
But my question, when we choose tests, when we give a pre-test and post-test, these tests should be looked at by some people who are specialists in, for example, writing. I mean, if we just design our test and go ahead and implement them, then we are violating one of the principles in test standards. Did you use something? I mean, that was part of my concern, that you are doing everything in this project, and that is not a good way to start with. Finally, actually, I have so many comments, but I would like just to be short in these comments. Now, your data analysis, I don't see any mention to the word discussion. You said data analysis, findings, and back to my concern about the number of the pages. Now, if we go to the last chapter, which is very important, the data analysis and discussion, your discussion is very, very minor. For example, in your literature review, you stated a few studies, as you said. There are only a few studies that examined the use of Wikis in Saudi Arabia. For example, الشميمري, الشعلان, I think Sati, as you mentioned. But if we go to the discussion, they are not mentioned at all. It is supposed, as a researcher, you try to relate your findings to previous in the same context, which is Saudi Arabia. But there is no mention at all of these studies, as if they were just mentioned in the literature review just to use the space for that. Also, when you try to relate your studies to previous studies, when I read these studies, as you mentioned them, you just as if you were reporting. You don't try to connect what you found to what they found and try to come up with a critical analysis of these findings. And this is very important in doctoral dissertations, that we have the students who are capable of analyzing critically what they are doing, what they are reading. Unfortunately, I don't find a thorough discussion in your thesis. I don't know why. Do you know why?
Well, I believe myself doing the discussion and relating, but it seems that it's not enough.
It is not enough, as I said. I mean, you missed a very significant point that you could elaborate on it. You stated a few studies in the Saudi context, but when we go to discussion of the results, unfortunately, there is not a strong discussion. These studies disappeared, and that shouldn't have happened, because this is what your study is contributing. It is contributing to previous study, either by bridging the gaps, if there are any gaps, but we don't know if there are any gaps, because you didn't elaborate on these studies in the literature review. You just mentioned a few lines about them. Without usually, when you report previous studies that are related to your study, you should very generous in your discussion, in your report of these studies, and you should place your study within the context of these studies and show your readers what are the defects of these studies that you are going to handle or amend in your manuscript. But unfortunately, you didn't, and you missed this. Anyway, having said that, I'm not trying to be picky, but as I said in the beginning, sometimes we learn from our discussion, and I hope the students who are attending, especially the graduate students, and I can see some of mine attending this session, they should learn from these defects, which are normal when we talk about human writing of dissertations. But I hope they will do their best to avoid these problems. Thank you very much to Dr. Khaled for inviting me to this committee, and I accept it with a great pleasure, and it is an honor to be with him in any committee. And also, I'm so happy to meet Dr. Ghazi Al-Ataibi, who I met him almost 24 years ago. So, and I think you did a great job, and I wish you the best in your career. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is ours. Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad. I can't thank you enough. And I can't thank Dr. Ghazi enough also for the remarks you both made. Let me first make a few comments. I would like to direct those comments to the guests from different places. We are being watched from around the world, not just from our college or our own students. The number of guests in the room is increasing by the minute, and this tells you how much interest people have in the topic and in things like these, things that relate to applied linguistics and represent the ideas that they would like to hear about. Now, the discussion has shown that our our student has some points where she can improve the manuscript. And I'm directing this to the students, graduate students in the room. I've put the manuscript on the Authenticate system. Authenticate is a brand name of a service that checks plagiarism, and it's owned by Turnitin. Because I have an esteemed committee that will sign this manuscript and I want to protect their names, I don't want them to sign something that has some plagiarism in it. So I went through the report, and this is very interesting. I found, and this is for you, Hanan, specifically, I found 9% of plagiarism, and that's very, very high. It's not supposed to return more than 3%. But 9%, this means you have a problem. Then I have to dig it up to make sure that this claim by the system is well-founded. Otherwise, I'm going to reject the report. So I wanted to know where exactly that is, and thankfully, the system allows you to go through the points and make sure the system works well. Here's what I found. I found that Professor Muhammad Al-Hugbani has just nailed it. APA issues have caused the system to see legitimate lines that Hanan wrote herself as plagiarized material. Because of a missing quote that she did not put in the right place, an extra space that told the system that, okay, this is a new sentence. Things like more than 4 lines put within the body of the manuscript rather than indenting it and then putting it according to the APA style manual. If the researcher followed exactly what the manual said, the system, Authenticate system, wouldn't see that as a plagiarized content. She reported the resources and the authors, and everything was there, but the system sees it as a plagiarized content because she did not put it the proper way. This is what a manuscript, well-written manuscript, does for you. If you do it exactly like you should, then you shouldn't have a problem. Here's another remark. On the cover page, the name of the college was going back and forth between correct or misspelled until the university told us to change the name from Al-Imam to Imam University. What does that mean for all of you? It means that if you put Al-Imam, your work is not going to be listed under Imam University. It's going to go somewhere else. But it's not going to be considered an Imam University manuscript or research paper. That's why it's very important to make sure that your name matches exactly your name on your passport, and the name of your college is exactly like it is, the name of your department, and the name of your university. Otherwise, the research achievements your university scores at the hands of its own researchers is going to be attributed to someone else. It's going to be someone else's job, not yours. That's why some of our Saudi universities are not considered highly cited, because their work is being attributed to someone else, just because we didn't put it properly. So we want to make sure that what we do, what we list in our dissertations is exactly done by the book using the APA manual. I'm not going to repeat the points that both esteemed guests have raised, and Hanan knows well that I've been discussing these points with her, but now she heard it from another source, and the points do in fact tell us that we have so much to learn. We have so much to learn from this committee. As a college, the college has learned a few points to improve the arrangements for the PhD program. also for future researchers attending this event, and for the candidate herself to improve the manuscript and put it in a better shape. The committee will resign now to discuss the performance of the student, and we will come back. So if you don't mind, we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you so much. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام.
معنا يا حنان.
نعم دكتور معك. دكتور خالد.
السلام عليكم. Do I have you all? معي حنان.
Yes معك.
جميل. بروفيسور محمد.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. دكتور غازي.
السلام ورحمة الله.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Let me first thank the guests from different places, and I have just read a comment from one of the guests, and I welcome the guest and everybody else. This is a great gathering where everybody is so important. And special thanks and appreciation for the presence of Dr. Ibrahim الحميدان, one of our colleagues, and the Hamidaan family who are attending this naturally. Now back to the official announcement of the result. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، فإنه في يوم الأحد الموافق 15 من شهر شعبان 1442 الموافق ل 30 مارس 21 اجتمعت اللجنة المؤلفة من كل من الدكتور خالد بن محمد أبو الحسن مقررا، الأستاذ الدكتور محمد بن ناصر الحقباني عضوا من داخل الكلية، الدكتور غازي بن نوار العتيبي عضوا من خارج الكلية، لمناقشة رسالة الدكتوراه المقدمة إلى قسم اللغة الإنجليزية بكلية اللغات والترجمة من الطالبة حنان بنت إبراهيم الحميدان بعنوان Using Wikis in AFL Writing Courses, a quasi-experimental study of Saudi female university students. وبعد مناقشة علنية خلت اللجنة لمداولة الرأي حول ما تستحقه الرسالة وأوصت بقبول الرسالة بتقدير ممتاز ومعدل A+ بعد إجراء التعديلات المطلوبة في المناقشة دون الحاجة لمناقشتها لاحقا. واللجنة إذ توصي بذلك فإنها تسأل الله تعالى للطالبة العون والتوفيق والسداد. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ألف مبروك دكتورة حنان، وأسأل الله لك العون والسداد والتوفيق، وأن يجعل الله على يدك الخير وينفعك بما نلت ويعينك على نفع الأخوات والطالبات الذين سيتعلمون على يديك. نسأل الله لك التوفيق فيما بقي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وأشكر الجميع على حضورهم ومشاركتهم هذا اليوم. شكرا.
وأنا بدوري أبارك أيضا مبروك الأستاذة حنان. Of course, all of these comments can be fixed, and being a writing teacher, you know that writing is a process that is messy, and no even very competent writers will not be able to write it for the first time. So I encourage you to work with your supervisor to fix these issues, and ألف مبروك.
أنا بدوري أيضا أبارك للدكتورة حنان، وهي الآن أصبحت زميلة لنا في الكلية، وأرجو يعني أن تتقبل ما قلته بكل رحابة صدر. Congratulations, and I wish you the best in your career. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ghazi. Thank you, Dr. Ghazi. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, for your valuable comments. Thank you, Dr. Khalid, for supervising on this work. I hope that we get over these mistakes, and I hope that everyone in this session has benefited from the discussion has been made. Thank you all, and السلام عليكم.
Alaikum assalam. The discussion was tape recorded for future reference. So the researcher is going to have the chance to go back to the comments and fix all the problems. Thank you again, everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.